everyone, my name is Ashley Peters and I'm a registered dietitian at McKinley Health Center located in the Health Education Unit. And due to the current stay-at-home order, I decided that I would be showcasing what a dietitian's weekly meal prep could look like. Also to give you guys some ideas that when you do find it safe to go to the grocery store, what are some things that you could be preparing and what are some things that you should be putting on your grocery list in order to execute that. Today I'm going to be showing how I make crock pot Italian beef sandwiches. The leftovers for Italian beef normally just gets better as it sits. Also, I like to showcase what actually to do with a chuck roast, which is a very affordable piece of meat. It's a very large piece of meat. So with part of this chuck roast, we're also going to be making a healthy ramen. And so how you would put some veggies and meat within some ramen to make it a little bit of a healthier option, as well as just some weekly meal prep that I do to try to increase our vegetable consumption in the house while we're staying at home, and how to make veggies very accessible so that way we find ourselves consuming them with every meal. So I'll go ahead and put this meat into the crock pot. And then I like to use this Louis Italian beef seasoning mix. It makes the meat pull apart very easily. But the first thing I'm going to do is actually mix it in with a little bit of water before I dump this into the crock pot. And that's just going to help it dissolve. I don't want to put the seasoning right onto the meat, because it could stick to that and get really chunky. So mix that up a little bit, pour it over the piece of meat, and then I'm going to take the beef broth, and you want to pour enough beef broth that it actually just goes all the way over the piece of meat. If you don't do that, the top part could get really tough. So you want enough liquid in there that the entire piece of meat is covered in it. The one nice thing too about this seasoning packet that I showed you is it will turn that beef broth into like an au jus, and it'll give you a really nice sauce for your Italian beef as well. Now that I have the meat in the crock pot, there's two more things that I want to add to it to give it some more flavor. And number one, that is pepperoncini. So you can even dump some of that juice in there and the peppers. So the next thing I want to add is some onion. And this too will just give it a little bit more flavor. So I'm going to add that. That'll give it lots of flavor as well. And then really, I'm not adding any other spices because that seasoning packet has so many spices in it. So this is what it looks like now. And we're just going to cover it, turn it on low for the next 8 hours. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get started on the ramen. So the first thing I'm going to do is just start cubing up this meat. I do like to have this as small cube-sized pieces when I'm done. And then it of course will shrink down a bit as you're cooking it and get even smaller. Alright, so now I'm going to start chopping up the broccoli, which is going to be going into the ramen. You really could use any vegetable you wanted. You could even use like a mixed frozen veggie combo. You could really add anything, any vegetable that you saw fit or that you just have extra. I do like it to be small pieces though, just because you want it to be pretty bite-sized. And then I'm going to have this off to the side. I'm going to cook the meat up. So as you can see now, there's not a ton of pink left, and I'm going to go ahead and add that broccoli. So it's been cooking, I'd say, for about 4 minutes on its own, and then I add that broccoli in and let that stir fry down. So I'm just going to add a little bit more olive oil because the broccoli is, a little bit of the broccoli needs a little bit more. while the beef and broccoli are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the ramen. So it calls for 2 cups of water, which I'm going to actually be using a beef broth in order to give this more flavor. Now that the beef broth has been brought up to a boil, I'm going to add the ramen and let this cook down for 3 minutes. I am just following the directions on the back of the ramen noodle package. Okay, so I've pulled the beef and broccoli off of the stovetop, and so I just went ahead and put that in my glass bowl. The ramen is also done as well, so I'm just gonna pour that over it. And then for storage purposes, I am going to add some more beef broth as well, so that way this all stays kind of nice and juicy and moist. And then I'll just cover this up and I'll let it get to cool off a little bit. You never want to put like a really, really hot dish like this just right into the refrigerator. So I'm going to let this cool off for a little bit, and then this is lunch ready, prepped to go. I can enjoy a quick lunch, easy throughout the week. So the next dish that I'm going to be preparing is roasted Brussels sprouts with some bacon and onion that I'm going to put on a sheet pan and roast up for dinner tonight. So when you're preparing Brussels sprouts, you want to take off this end here. And so you can see I've done that with these that I've already prepared. You'll take that off, and then you'll also take off the first couple little bit of layers that pull away very easily. You'll want to snap this off here, and then I would take this one off too. I always like to have a little scrap dish next to me while I'm cutting up produce, so that way I can keep a clean area. So you can see here that I have halved these Brussels sprouts, chopped up some onion to go with that, and now I'm about to cut up into some slices some bacon. So I'm just going to take my knife and go through the bacon like so. So I've spread the Brussels sprouts, the bacon, and the onion over the sheet pan. I'm just going to do a little bit of salt on that too. And this will go into the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes or until it browns up a little bit. You want to see some browning on the Brussels sprouts, and you want to make sure that bacon gets cooked up as well. The last thing I'm going to show you is a little bit of prep work that I do every single week, whether I'm quarantined or not, and that is just prepping all my veggies at one time. So I've already washed all these vegetables, and no matter what, I like to just wash all my vegetables at one time and chop them all at one time. It makes dinners go by so much easier if you can already have your vegetables cut and ready to go. So like we just saw with the Brussels sprouts, I now have a veggie side dish ready to go with no prep work, and that can really help take away a lot of the stress, time. It can take away also a lot of the dishes, because then I only have to get out my chopping board one time that week instead of having to get it out every single night. So I just normally get out my chopping board, turn on some music, and try to make it an enjoyable process as much as possible. So I will do this for my raw veggies every week that I'm going to eat raw, whether it be for my lunches or for snacks. I also do this with any side dishes that I'm going to make for dinner. No matter what, I chop all the veggies for the entire week, and then I normally put them like in an airtight sealed container, and that normally lasts me Monday through Friday. And then I'm going to show you how to make fun homemade ranch dip that you can enjoy with these chopped veggies. So you just dump that seasoning packet, and this is a ranch salad dressing and seasoning mix, into the 1 cup of sour cream. You're going to stir that up, and then you have a homemade ranch dip to dip in your veggies and to enjoy. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, where we've done Italian beef sandwiches. I've laid out homemade bread that I made last week. I just pulled it out of my freezer, so we're actually going to be having Italian beefs with homemade bread, as well as the Brussels sprouts and bacon. We've prepped out together lunch, which is the healthy ramen, and then we just did a little bit of meal prep here to try to increase our vegetable consumption this week for snacks or for quick sandwiches in order to keep your vegetable consumption up while you're staying healthy at home. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope we're all back together very soon.